Docking request accepted.
Got a white light up here.
Good morning, New Eden. Today is June 8th, 2025, and this is the Federation Frontline Report. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and my co-host is Nightflyer. How's it going, man?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. So, Frozen, this has been an amazing week of battles here in faction warfare. The hits just keep on coming, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, we're 49 to 41 right
flipping.
now, so... We took the Taurus, we got the Taurus on Wednesday.
We did, finally. So the residents of the Taurus finally understand freedom once again. So
cheers!
Yeah, we can bring that to them. Cheers. So huge shout out to the guys, Rabbit and Pizza Fleet Pizza Delivery, and all the FCs and those guys that have been putting in the work to flip all the systems in the south here. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, things have been going really well. And then our special guest that we have for our interview today is Fern Kitsuen. Kitsuen?
Yep, Kitsuen. Pretty close. Fern Kitsuen. We'll go with that.
Our new best friend from Iceland. So
yeah, we met you at FanFest.
The bull, what was that? The bull shooter, the dart place.
I was always going to Lebowski. All the goons were in Lebowski, so I was just going there because those guys are fun.
We were a block away from Lebowski's for a hotel room, so.
Yeah, it was a wild time. My first FanFest.
So this is your first FanFest, yeah.
Yeah, very first. There's always been a. What's that?
What'd you think? You're gonna go back? Are you gonna look for other local meetups?
Did you already buy your tickets? Because we already got tickets. I already have tickets to go right back.
So my plane tickets don't really show up till next month. So I'm gonna wait one more month before I book the plane tickets to start getting everything booked. But yeah, I'll have it all booked.
Be careful though, because the longer you wait, the more expensive the tickets get. So if you know you're going, you might as well get them before the price goes up. That's as long as you have the money, that's the key.
And with FanFest this year, I waited not to the last minute, but definitely further along.
Your tickets were like $100 more expensive than my tickets.
Oh yeah, I think I paid $360 for my ticket.
Yeah, I think I paid like $170 or something like that.
Right, exactly. And then everything was more expensive to get there last minute, but man, it was worth it. So I think next year I'm hopeful we'll be Eve partners by then, and then I'll bring up the missus. Iceland is not. I guess I had pretty low expectations, and so I was blown away by just the people and the traveling. I traveled up and down that island the first 3 days because I got there on Sunday, and then of course FanFest starts like Wednesday, Thursday-ish, and it was great.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I highly recommend anybody who goes to Iceland is arrive early. Like, that is a huge thing. Like, everybody is arriving early, so you're not, like, this weird person. Like, if you go to, like, a lot of other conventions, and if you arrive, like, 3 days early, like, you're gonna be the only, like, you won't run into another human that is, like, part of the convention that you're gonna be going to when you arrive really early. Gen Con, or FanFest, is everybody. Like, I just ran into Eve players the whole time, and they were like, I've been here for, like, a week already. Like, bunch of people that just are there, and there's so many activities to do. They do start doing mixers and stuff like that on Monday, so at least they are aware. Like, I like how Eve, CCP is aware that there is, like, okay, there's gonna be a bunch of nerds showing up. We should have, we should do some kind of really relaxed activity at least on Monday,
Yes, what I would do is I got in on Sunday night, and then I got in on Saturday. So like all through the days, like Monday through Wednesday, when there's nothing to do for Eve stuff, I was on like I love Viator.com because you have like all the different tours you can do. So I was 14 hours away in southern Iceland at well, not an iceberg, it's a glacier. So I'm like glacier walking and freaking doing all this stuff. And then at night, I make sure I make it back in time for the mixers so I can hang out with all the Eve guys, and meet folks that way. So it was a really good balance. I think I saw like 4 or 5 waterfalls, lots and lots of hiking and walking, 3 different natural hot springs. So I hit the Blue Lagoon, I hit the Sky Lounge, I hit Hammersvik up north. I mean, I did the whole, cuddle up inside of the Arctic Ocean for like 10 minutes.
Did you do the ritual at Sky Lagoon?
Oh yeah. Now so I did the ritual the first time. Like I was like everyone else. I got in the cold plunge for maybe 30 seconds and I was dying and I ran out like everybody else. But there was this guy who was on staff and I watched him sit in that for like 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
And I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? If he can suffer, I can suffer. I know how to suffer. And so I got in a pool with him, and 40 minutes later, the staff is all like kind of standing around because they're like, is this guy okay? Because I was just locked in, not talking to anybody, just trying to huddle up all the warm water I could and just flex for like 40 minutes in this cold plunge. And so they let me do it again for free. They let me go through the whole thing again for free.
Wow.
Because I did that, yeah.
That's super cool of them.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Mortal, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. So yeah, let's kick this off with the standard entry question that we have for all our interviews. But how the hell did you get into EVE Online? What the fuck? Why would you play this crazy ass game?
So I was 16 and playing what all kids play. I think I was playing like Xbox One, Madden, lots of Madden growing up with my family. And my dad was a gamer, he still is. My dad's a bigger gamer than I am, even to this day. He's playing the new Dune thing, right? He's retired. He retired at 55 just so he could play video games 18 hours a day. So that's what he's been doing the past couple of years. So he's got, 18 hours a day on Dune right now for the past 3 days when it launched. So back when I was 16, my dad found this game called EVE in 2006. And I vividly remember, this is a core memory that probably when I'm on my deathbed, it's going to flash across my eyes because it's that core of a memory. I remember walking up to my dad, kind of looking over his shoulder and asking him, what is that? And he's like, oh, this is EVE. And he was doing a level 3 mission. He'd only been playing for like 3 months. He was doing a level 3 mission in a Myrmidon. With the drone.
Yeah.
But back then, you had a lot more drones. Like all these drones were everywhere. And I thought, that is cool. And when I turned, we didn't have the money to have my own PC back then. And so when I turned 18, 19, the first thing I did is get a PC because I joined up in the Navy. So now I got money. So I got a PC and went right to EVE because, my dad had been playing it at that point for 3 years and I could tell how much fun he was having. So I wanted a piece of the action.
So yeah, when you jumped into EVE, what was the thing that kind of like drew you immediately to EVE in the sense of like what was your mission in the beginning of this game?
So I think I joined in 09. Yeah, something like 09. And just the art style and the music. I mean, between the music and the art, because there'd be times where, later on, like some years later, you're kind of bored. You don't know what you want to do, but you can ship spin. Man, I could ship spin for hours, just kind of plotting through and planning what I wanted to do next, because just the art and the music is so good. I still remember. I do not remember my first character, because we'll talk more about this, but I ended up getting rid of that character a long time ago. And I don't remember my first character name, as terrible as it, because I would totally buy that character if I knew who it was. But I remember my first ship, the Cormorant. So I remember when I got to a destroyer, and the Cormorant was like this blocky, really sharp angled centipede looking thing. And I was doing level 2 missions with it, and I was just a BA. I'm like, oh yeah, these rats, they're dying now. My little frigate, I've leveled up. And then we got war decked by some group. And I had already formed my own corporation. I got only been in the game for 3 weeks. I had my own corp with a couple of us scrubs. And we're like, we're going to take these guys down. And I will never forget when when those war targets jumped into our high-sec system. The guy was in what I found out later was a Dominix, a big giant potato, going like 3 kilometers a second because it's like all nano fits back then. So this thing's like zipping around and just nuking all of us. And that was my welcome to Eve moment. So yeah, that's why I vividly remember getting sucked into the combat at first.
All right, so yeah, you started up doing your own corporate management and stuff like that. So how did your first corporation go? It sounds like you got War Deck. Did you end up surviving that War Deck, or was that like the end of your Eve career for a little while?
You know, it's so long ago that I don't quite remember how it all went. I know I had a corp for a while. I've had corps live and die. Like, I'm a great recruiter. But sometimes life gets in the way, and then I'm out of pocket, and then the corp dies. When the CEO steps away, the corp always dies because you're kind of the heart and soul of the whole thing. And so I think back then, the corp definitely died. I don't know how fast was it, what the demise was, but I'm sure it was pretty rapid. Because at some point I went into nullsec, and I was not in a corp or leading a corp at that point. So. Yeah, I had some really big blunders in the early days that my wife still remembers. So, yeah.
So, what was some of the intriguing things that you had when you were doing like corporate management and stuff like that? Was it a bunch of buddies? Because like one of the things that my experience with running your own corporation or having buddies that are running their own, because like one of my friends that dragged me into it, he started up his own corporation. And the way that he was running things was mostly just real life friends, you know, and so he built off of like this concept of like, I'll drag in my buddies and then we're all part of one big corporation and then we can kind of go off and do our own thing, which is actually really something that is very much more feasible, I think, in Eve than pretty much anywhere else, if you can get a bunch of your buddies to play the game. Like, if you get like 5 people to do raiding in World of Warcraft, that's okay, but you're not a guild, you know, like you still want to be part of the guild to be at all the bigger benefits and stuff. But in Eve, if you got like a solid group of 5 to 10 people like going out and doing shit, like you can accomplish a lot actually in Eve. You can take over a little wormhole, you can take over a little low sec space, you can accomplish a lot of the tasks that need to be done in Eve, and you don't need the big, you know, you can even join a bigger alliance and stuff and just be like, dude, we're 10 active people. You're not gonna find it, you know, that work all together.
Multi-boxing accounts.
Right, yeah.
Drop 50 dreads with those.
Right, and then multi-boxing, you stack that on top of it, and all of a sudden you're 5 dedicated dudes that are super hardcore. So did you start off by like recruiting buddies? Or were you focused in on, which I think the majority of people, because I actually come from a very weird upbringing, which is like a bunch of my buddies played, like 10, and we played for like a year, you know, like straight with each other.
See, that's awesome.
And that's crazy. Like, you know, and then I run into people at work all the time and they're like, oh yeah, I used to play Eve, I'll play Eve with you. And like, but most of the time it's, you only get online recruitment. So did you have a lot of buddies, or did you do mostly online recruitment?
So none of my friends video game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know how.
Video game at all? Like, not even...
No, not really. Like, my best friend, he's a doctor now. Like, all my friends turn into, like, they're all
responsible adults.
They're all doing great. Yeah, right. They're all doing great. I'm doing pretty well. But, yeah, when we all get together, it's kind of boring, honestly, because we're all put together. Right?
Do they let you talk about Eve when you get together with them?
I mean, we occasionally, but it's immediately not cool,
Right,
and so we typically don't. We usually talk about work or kids and family, or we'll go do things. You know, we'll do a lot of clay shooting. That's always fun. So we have a diverse options. We have Holiday World, which is close by, which is a amusement park we like to go to with big roller coasters and safari and whatnot. But yeah, not a whole lot of games. So all of my corporations and all of my friends have been recruited through the recruitment channel back in the day. So now you have the whole posting thing, right, where you can post what you're looking for, blah blah blah. You got Discord, but back then you really only had the recruitment channel. And so one of the things I was just talking to, I came from my dad's today because I visit him like a couple days a week. And we got on this very topic where, my dad was an RKK. He was a director at RKK and Bob. So he had worked his way up. His name is, some folks, I doubt you'll know him. His name is Max Parallax, but he did a lot of, he ran Still City for a long time and Brick. And so he loved the Falcon. He liked jamming people, dropping his stealth bombers. He was an FC. He would just do Black Ops drops. I forgot what he called it. Max something. Anyways. And he quit the game the first time because CCP nerfed the Falcon to where now people can shoot the Falcon if it jams you. And so he's like, until they fix the Falcon, I'm not ever coming back. Right?
Yeah, fix the Falcon. I think they did fix the Falcon. Like, that was...
Did they? I don't even know. I haven't even looked.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Is like being able to lock the Falcon is huge. Like, that was... The ECM was the most powerful ECM out there. Now damps are kind of in line to probably needing a nerf, if you ask me, which is a Galente weapon system, so I should shut my fucking mouth. But damps are ridiculously OP at this point. But like the thing is that one jam does what 7 damps do. Like 7 damps on you, you're not locking shit. But guess what? If you one jam, and you're gone. That's it. You're done. You're not locking shit. You're not doing anything.
He'd land at 10. He'd probe him down, land at 10, decloak, point, jam. Everybody be flying in. That was his jam for a long time. And then CCP nerfed that. He's like, I'm out. I'm gonna go play something else that's fun. So we'll see if he ever comes back. But yeah, corporation management, it's all been directly recruited. So I had a corp called Junkyard Gunners. And that was really the pinnacle. If I go back to the time I've had the most fun, it would have been back in 2012. I think it was 2012 when they released Apocrypha. Now, Apocrypha, with the wormholes, in my opinion, is the greatest expansion to ever drop. I mean, I don't want to hear it. Don't at me. I'm just saying Apocrypha was awesome because wormholes used to be, you'd go out and you'd go camping. You'd throw up a POS, but people don't even know what POSs are anymore. But
no, they don't.
You put up your little things, your large, extra large ship hangars, your silos, your guns, and all that stuff, and your corp would log off within the POS inside the wormhole. So you didn't see light for a long time because you're just in the deep. And we were at a C4 with a static C2. And so C4s were for our group play. And then if you want to do solo stuff, you could go into a neighboring C2 and do all your solo stuff because wormholes weren't that populated back then. It wasn't these huge blocks.
No,
today and all the dreads.
I remember when they first came out, man. It was like the no man's land of like it was because they wanted it to be roaming territory, not really the original concept of wormholes was don't live there. But that immediately stopped when players were like, "Absolutely, I'm a fucking live in a wormhole, you dumb." Like so... you have like you I can put up a POS. If you allow that, then I'm gonna live there. Like that's just like. And then they allowed Fortizars and and everything like that. So like living in wormhole space it was a slow, gradual thing. So in the beginning, it was like just roamers' land of insanity, of like chaos and. Nobody really owned anything. There wasn't Laserhawks or any kind of like group out there that was like just controlling everything.
And it really wasn't like that much group PvP. You'd have the roaming guys who kind of come through, but you would just safe up. You'd wait a little bit and then you go back out. So we weren't PvP focused. We were just shooting the sleepers because all this stuff was new. Like, what the heck is a sleeper?
Right, so and it was the more intense combat. It was. I remember, like even like our PvP groups were like, "All right, let's get some fucking Logi together. Let's go out and like jump into a wormhole and start doing some of these like weird ass wormhole sites. Like, what's this? It was basically the incursion.
Thing, there were the incursions before incursions because you'd have to get Logi to run missions. Yep. Well, not even missions. Not even missions.
Just like it was the PvE that was more roam centric but being like a group effort. Like if you like doing it solo was possible, and then multi-boxing, blah 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 blah. But like in the end, like I remember that being a big attraction for us of being like, okay, we just need 2 Logi, like 2 T2 Logi, and then everybody in some kind of armor fit, and then, you know, just go out and just, let's give it a shot, you know. Like, I mean, some people all had it down, you know, after like a, you know, because there's always geniuses that are just like, oh, I figured out the math in the first like 35 seconds, and I told like 5 of my buddies. That's the only people that know how to do everything. You know? Yeah, building
T3s were brand new.
Yep.
So like you had your different modules, right? You put the T3 together to make it the specialized blah blah blah. So that whole time period was awesome. And then once we got done with that, we went back to high sec. So this is like 120, 150 person corp, super active. If you didn't log in within a month, unless you gave me a reason, typically I booted you. And so because I didn't want to have inflated numbers, so we were very active. We had PvE mission running centers. So we had a level 4 site agent in every race of space. So if we recruited somebody who was relatively new, we would send them, okay, you're a Galente mission runner, you go here, that's your HQ, here's all the level 4 mission runners, they'll get your standings up, blah, 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 blah. And so we're providing all this value to newer players, but also giving people to play with, doing the things they want to do. We would do mining weekends, so if people didn't mine, they'd still go out and pick up a cruiser, slap a mining thing on it. We just get together in a belt, jam music, and just hang out. And we do like low sec PvP, like on Sundays. I'd lead those. So we go try to kill pirates occasionally. If we saw something juicy, we become pirates ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. And then I ruined it by taking them into nullsec.
Well, the dream of nullsec is strong. Get the name on the map and.
Yeah.
So did you try to run your own alliance, or did you try joining up with an alliance, or?
So I have to go back. I can't remember the exact sequence. I had been in nullsec before this corp a couple times. So my first alliance was Quantum Alliance. Like they're dead. They've been dead for forever. And then Morsis Mihi was the first big one I got into.
That's Morsis. A name I know, Morsis Mihi. That's an ancient name. Ancient.
Like I was a Diplo for an alliance. I don't remember what alliance I was in, but I was a Diplo for that alliance. I was talking to Villy? I can't remember who it was in Morsis Mihi. Not Villy. Who was it? I can't remember. Somebody famous. And I remember when I got into Morsis Mihi, I thought like I'd made it. Like,
yep.
I think were they in tribute at the time? I can't remember.
It had to be. If it's 2000, would it be like 2012, 2013, right around?
I want to say it's like 2000 and it'd be somewhere in there.
So it'd be like when there's the Northern Coalition that still existed.
Moyes
Mihi, Goonswarm probably moved up not just too long ago to because I listened to a lot. I listened to Empires of Eve like all the time, and if you haven't ever listened to Empires of Eve, I highly suggest anybody that hasn't listened to it. It's fucking awesome. You can read it too if you want, and the reading is really, I highly suggest getting the book because it's got a lot of pictures, it shows you maps, and in like read along with, like just go by page, like, and you'll see the pictures of, if you're not like into reading, you want to listen or whatever, or you just want to like flip through and see some cool shit. Empires of Eve, cool as shit. But so yeah, this sounds like along the terms of when Bob had been defeated, right? So there wasn't Bob really. It was IT Alliance.
The Mittani was famous. Like who the heck is the Mittani? Yep. That's the guy who really sucked. So I had my dad, but then I read a magazine article where the Mittani, killed Bob, and the Mittani. Really, my entire Eve. It's kind of funny. My entire Eve career. I have careers. I don't even know. Anyways, my life
it is a career,
it's
man.
Been 20 years. It kind of is. But the person I respect the most, and this is going to be a hot take, and I know it's going to upset some folks, but the Mittani is the person who I respected the most of anyone else ever, because his ideology of how to wage warfare and how to do things the right way was just, to me as a younger player, was just eye-opening, right? And I put a lot of what he said into the alliances I became a part of later on in my Eve life, and it freaking worked. So
I mean, I have to say that it is quite controversial, but I'm a person that, like, I know the human that behind the Mittani.
Rose and I actually met in the Mittani's garage.
Yeah, so, and I've been hanging out with him for many years. played a lot of games with him and stuff. I'm not gonna say that he doesn't have his faults like other human beings, and that there's controversial, very weird shit all over the place about like the more you dig into him. Like I knew him. I also like it's kind of well known, or not well known, but it's known that I'm in like the alternative-ish scene. I like hanging out with the cool people, like, but, and so like I know that, and there's a whole thing about, there's a bunch of weird stuff, but one of the things that I do have to say that is inspiring was the way that he did his character in Eve. Is that he did take on, one of the things I know about Mintani that a lot of people might not know is that he was a role player. He was a very big role player. He was huge into the whole
heavily
concept
into that
of becoming your character. Like when he was the Mintani, he was Mintani. He was a dictator in Eve that he was a spy master first. That then he basically, he's kind of like the Putin story a little bit of like ran the KGB, he ran the Black Hand, and then like ended up being like, what, fuck being the power behind the crown, I am the fucking power. Like like it's this, he brought forth an ideology of like, you can be a villain in Eve, you can be a good villain in Eve, and when you fuck up, and he has fucked up times with being that villain where he took it too far, and he called out somebody at FanFest and said like bad shit about harass this person, he wants to kill themselves, and that's fucking horrible. And he came out and said that he owned up to it, and it's some tough shit to deal with some of and there's a lot of stuff about him that it's very controversial, but some of the things that isn't controversial is the ideology of EVE Online is in the system that we have built of warfare in system. Is dictatorship is like key. Like having somebody that is running shit is very important to being able to make quick decisions. Now, whether or not they're like at the toppest level of leadership, you need to be able to make decisions at some point. And you can have like some controversy over council of people who are going to give you information, but you need one voice to basically just say, this is what we're doing next. Once I decide on something, then things move forward, because the more that you're held back by talking about it, the more that things are just happening, because it's real time. Every second that goes by, like people are planning and plotting and taking systems and like moving things into position, because Eve takes fucking time. Like it's an unbelievable amount of time sink to get anything really
and
done.
Contacts. I mean, networking is huge in Eve. So like I've tried. It's funny. Back in my earlier days, I tried getting into goons because I liked the Mintani, but I had fought against goons my whole life, and with all these different alliances, it just how it landed. And when like back then, you couldn't switch coalitions. Like once you shot at goons, you were ex-goons forever. And so like Morsis Mihi, at some point I ended up in Nulli Secunda, flying with Pro God Legend. That was a freaking fun time.
Lots of stories about Pro God Legend out there.
Oh,
he's the legend.
Dude, so the Pro God I knew was before he was famous. Because with Nulli Secunda, he had some popularity, but that guy could FC. And so I would play a secondary FC role with him sometimes. If he got popped or something, I'd call targets and hold the field. So I got to work with him a little bit. And it was like, yeah, I mean, then he became who he became. And then later on after that, I joined up with Black Legion, right? Elo Knight, another freaking great FC.
Yeah, Elo Knight, well known in the stratosphere of insane legends of EVE Online that have, like, because they were like a mercenary organization, right? For the most part, like you sided with Pandemic Legion and with Goonswarm during some of the like it all depended on who was paying you the most at that point. Like,
yeah, it's a funny story how that all happened. So we became friends by shooting at each other. So my highest, what year would this have been? I guess 2014, 15, somewhere in there. There was this alliance called Tribal Band. And we were a pet alliance, basically, 5,000, 6,000 people. So, back in the day, PL was like 1,000 people, right? And Goons was maybe like 2,000 people or something like that. Big elite alliances were small, and then all your bantha fodder were big groups, right? They try to they put you in strategically in places to create these buffer zones between the big powers, and so we were, think of Brave but worse. And so that's what Tribal Band was. We were a bunch of frigate flying brand new scrubs, 6,000 of us strong. And so I joined up because at this point I've been playing the game for, I guess, 6 years. And so I knew a few things. I've been FCing with some of these big names. And so I knew a few things. And in the course of 6 months, I became the military director. And so we're like, so I'm spinning up fleets because these guys don't know how to fight. And so we're doing like Armageddon fleets and oracles back when those ships were really popular, and we're doing incursions into, I think it was into Stain, from, because we were in period basis, and so I'm teaching these guys how to fight. And back then there were no big wars going on; everything was kind of like a big blue donut. And PL was on the other side of the universe shooting at somebody, but they wouldn't let us join, which was weird. Like I wanted to deploy, right? Let's deploy and have some fun.
Right. Yeah.
And PL was like, no, you can't do that. And so what ended up happening is that Pizza Alliance, what a great name for an alliance, by the way. So Pizza is there with their stealth bombers, bombing us to absolute oblivion all the time. We brought out oracles, they come out of nowhere and just we're all dead. And then you have Black Legion flying around. We would always fight them as often as we could. And eventually, the thing that broke me, I actually took a break from E for 5 years. I quit the game because I always wanted to be a military director and be at that level.
Right.
So
yeah.
like,
you sound like you're a man with ambition. You're not just walking into this game being like, I want to be the frontline grunt. You want to I want to lead. You want to direct these people into somewhere. So
yeah, I'm like, you get inspired by people like the Mittani, and you're like, I want to be similar to that someday. And so I'm just a sponge, right? And so then you get up into that level, and it's weird. It's like the higher you go up the level of Eve, the more autistic it gets, and the more it gets like this. It becomes so toxic that I'll give you one example. This is what killed me. So we formed a battleship fleet. Okay, this is little tribal band puts together a 200-man battleship fleet, which we could barely or skilled to fly.
Right.
We go into Stain because we're going to shoot at some passes because we're going to force timers. We're going to get some dang fights out of these Russians. And we get hot dropped by like Rokes. I remember it clear as day. We get dropped at 0 by Rokes. Bam! 200v200. I've got carriers that we had like at our home system that are one jump away. And we drop carriers. Tribal Band has never, nor has ever since, dropped carriers. Okay, so for us, this was like a big freaking deal. We dropped carriers, and we're nuking them. Like I'm broadcasting, it's like start from the bottom, work your way up. We're just dropping them so fast because those Geddon fits were all about fire rate. So we're melting them. PL is 5 jumps over. Now, back then, Shadow was the FC. Armor hacks, armor hacks, right? The Shadow. And he's 5 jumps over with his fleet. Well, I had dropped off of their comms because I was on 2 different team speaks. So I dropped off their team speak so I could focus, because I didn't expect to get hot dropped. I was focusing on calling targets and keeping us freaking alive. And I told my number 2 to get on their comms and let them know what the heck is going on. Like I don't know how this is going to shake out, but we could use their help, right? By the time PL shows up, we had wiped the floor with them, okay? So I'm feeling pretty good. Like, we're all high-fiving. We're in a good mood.
Right, yeah.
I get on PL's comms.
And they're all pissed.
Shadow is ripping me, screaming at me. This is a grown man screaming at me because I'm hogging content.
Oh,
you were hogging
content. Wow.
F you, pal. Like that's basically what I told him. I was basically like, screw off. Like, this isn't. I was keeping us alive. You're freaking late. And I left. I just dropped off because otherwise I was gonna say something I'd regret, right?
Right. And
so then Shadow tried to get me kicked out of Tribal Band. The membership stood up for me. And so Shadow kind of backed off, but the Shadow had this other guy, and I can't remember who he was, but there used to be these forums, and I can't remember the forums we used to post in back then. It wasn't Reddit. It was like a forum you could go to where all the null sectors would go and talk trash. No. It's back in 14,
Kitsuen
15.
forums, where there's Kitsuen had a forum out there. I can't remember.
Maybe. I can't remember. It was a forum that everyone in nullsec went on to talk trash. And he started talking. This PL guy starts talking trash about Travel Ban, and I basically squared up with him because I didn't care, and called him out on it. And one way or another, through immense pressure, they booted me out. And that's what happens, right? Like in hindsight, because back then I was in my early 20s. So in hindsight, you don't take on the big bear, right? Especially when you're the little cub. It doesn't matter how high up the org you are in the little cub. The big bear is still going to eat you one way or another. So that was a lesson I had not yet learned in life, but I learned it in Eve, which really worked out well for me in real life. Because a lot of mistakes I made in Eve through people communication, I didn't make that same mistake in the real world, and that really paid off. So, yeah, Kugisman, that's the one. Newton just put it in the comments. I think that's probably what you're trying to say, Kugu.
Yeah.
That's right, Kugu. Oh man.
Yeah, because
wow,
he was like
nostalgia.
the super hacker, right? Like back in the day, and there was like like crazy shit that was going on, and then he built like a forum to gather all the information, and then like it was.
Yeah, but everyone went to Kugu.
Yeah, I was primarily on Scrap Heap during that time, which was even more lowly, low sec. Like I was part of Mostly Harmless, I think, a lot during that time, if I remember.
Oh, Mostly Harmless, yeah. It's like during that time I had a character. His name was Master Hyde. So what I was doing was I had a character like I created. I don't remember who it was. And back then you couldn't buy skill injectors. So if you wanted to do something different, you'd have to sell your character and buy another character. And so I was going through main characters every time I wanted to do something different. And so for a long time I was known as Master Hyde. And so in Kugu, Master Hyde was going toe to toe with PL, which didn't make me very popular. And but I didn't care because I was just kind of I'm just gonna say what I have to say and stand up for my alliance mates, and whatever happens, right? And so Elo Knight saw that, and so that's how Elo was like, dude, I gotta have this guy FCing for me. Because I guarantee you, he'd have spies. He definitely had spies.
Oh yeah.
I've had spies warp out squadrons of my fleet in different directions before, so we had to figure that out. I mean, it was a good time, but that's how I got hooked up with Elo Knight for a while, and I was like his pet. He'd always be like, "Oh, Master Hyde's here," and he always had me be a secondary FC and whatnot. So, yeah, it was good for while it lasted.
Yeah, so you ended up taking what was the thing that catapulted you to the break that you had?
Yeah, after I flew with Elo for, because that was more out of spite. I flew with Elo. Elo would shoot at everybody, and I was just bitter at that point because I'd worked my way up this org over a long period of time, and we were doing really good things. They were growing, and then I get pushed out through politics because my ally's a dick.
Right.
Like how does that your blues are supposed to be your bros, and PL is supposed to be like, they were supposed to be the people to kind of coach you along, encourage you, freaking good job, attaboy. Here, let me throw you at the fight. That was supposed to be our role. They're supposed to throw us at fights so we could soften the enemy while they came in and mopped up the mess, and they wouldn't even do that for us. And so I was really bitter at PL. And funnily enough, when I went to FanFest, when I was doing the traveling like you talked about, you bump into E-folks, the entire time, my first 3 days, I was hanging out with PL. The entire time. And they were great guys, They were great guys, but you could tell PL has got PL members are different.
Yeah.
Than a lot of FanFest people. There's a certain mental sickness there they have, and they're not at all afraid to share it with you. So they are wired different.
There's a certain level of, because PL is they're beyond Eve. There are other games that they've played in, and they're league level type kind of like sponsorship type kind of gaming group people. These are the people that in StarCraft Like, you play them and they're just like, I killed you. And you're like, what? They're like, the game just started. They're like, you definitely are dead. Like, in like 5 minutes, I'm just going to roll my army up on you. You're going to die. And you're like, you should just quit now. And you're like, what are you talking about? And then their army rolls up and you just die. And you're like, what the fuck? What fucking happened here? Because they're elite of the elite. Like, that was the whole thing about PL forever. Their whole entire history until Pandemic Horde, they were exclusive. They were if you want to be allies with us, baby, but you never get into our corporation. Like, you know, you gotta spend years to the game. And
even if you're allied with them, they treat you like trash.
Because you're not PL. Because you're not elite.
Right.
If you were elite, you'd be in our corporation. But, you know, or our alliance.
So I flew with BL long enough where, you know, I just got more and more bitter. And then I just said, you know, what's the point? What's the point of EVE if you get to the top and all your friends are pricks? Like, that's not the game I want to play. I want to play a game where we're all fighting the enemy together. You know, we're all living and dying together, you know, and that was not the experience I got being part of the PL block. And it was too late, like I said, too late to go to Goons, because at that point, I mean, I'm redder than red.
Which is interesting because I have, like, a complete opposite experience, because I met Goons through partying. Like, because Madison is, like, the Goon capital, where they, like, threw Goops twice a year. Mitani, you know, like, would go out and hang out with people. He lived around the area. Like, so we, you know, like, I got to, like, go out and party, and I was in faction warfare, and I had a great time. My corporation went on to do great things without me, and I'm really sad, and every day I'm like, man, I wish, but not really, because I got to party and go out and hang out with Goons and stuff, and it was, like, but one of the things I do match up with you on that is the drama, like, the level of professionalism. I call it, I'm gonna be a little bit more maybe PC about. I'm gonna call it professionalism. Goons are too professional for me. I like to party with Goons, I like hanging out with Goons, but like the top tier, it's all politics. It's all who you know, what you know, like how your image is to multiple people. Even in a system of totalitarianism, there's a massive amount of democracy going on. Like, it's not democracy as much as it's just popularism. You know, it's just how popular are you with the people and the things that you're doing and the activities that you're doing, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be popular to all of the people, just some people. Like, because if you piss off Shadu or somebody, like, you piss off the Mintani, you piss off anybody who, you know, like Gobbins now or whatever, like, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Like, this is, no matter how good of an FC you are, you piss off somebody that's prominent, you're fucked. Like,
one thing I've learned is that this is not EVE. This is human nature. And so, like, now I'm at director level in my current company that I work for. And so I'm rubbing shoulders with VPs and up all day. And it is absolutely who you know. And it's also about your reputation. Like, it doesn't matter if your reputation is true or not, but as long as it's good, you want to be building on it. And that's really all you have. Once you start getting to that level of management, it's all comes down to reputation and hopefully competence. Usually good competence means good reputation, not always, but most of the time it's true. If you're not competent, eventually it comes back and gets you. And so I was hoping, because like I said about Goons, right? The more you go up, you got to know people, it gets a little too political, but at least they have each other's backs, for crying out loud. It's not like they're going to scream at you because you did something good. Hopefully. So that's the part. Like, I remember hearing, I don't know where I heard this, but I've got kids, right? And they're 9 and 11. And I heard if you really want to screw up a kid, you yell at them for doing something good. So they do the right thing, they do the good thing, and then you chew them for it. That'll mess up a kid real quick. So it's psychological. And so when you're being punished for doing a good thing, you really just want to give that person the middle finger and check out. And that's kind of what I did.
No, yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I think that there, to a certain degree, I've seen the thing that I've always been interested in is, like, because it sounds like you've dealt with a lot of, it hasn't been recently until you've gone to, like, live meetups with people, right? So one of the things that's interesting with EVE is that if you get into the crowd of, like, knowing somebody, all of a sudden you're in the inner crowd. Like,
right,
so
like,
like no,
like
it's
Fest.
like, yeah, if you go to an actual player meetup, you hang out with, drink with, and hang out, you're like, that's when you get introduced into like the inner crowd of people, and that gives you some ability to do stuff. But then it is on your own agency to do stuff. And you have to have that desire for power, and I think it's something that you pointed out that's really true, is that it's not an Eve problem, it's a human problem. Humans
Right.
that are ambitious are not always competent. and just because
Those are the most dangerous people. The
Right.
people who are ambitious but not competent. If you're ambitious and lazy, I think, I can't remember who said that, but if you look it up, if you're an ambitious, lazy person, you're the most dangerous person on the planet. You will take every shortcut to get to the top, including screwing over your friends.
right
So those people you got to look out for.
right yeah it's one of those things where like Eve is a very social game beyond anything else. It's one of the things that I think is one of the problems, I think, with scarcity. The thought process behind scarcity was, like, if you limit resources, people are going to fight over it. And it's like, no, this is a social game. As much as it's a war game, we war with each other all the time, but like, really, it's a social game. Like, you're going to diplo over who owns what, and then you might play some games over piddle shit. And sometimes you might have like an all-out war that'll happen where one side tries to take out the other. And Goons, had that happen to them where they got down to the one constellation that they were living out of for a while. And the thing is, though, is that when you do that, you're all or nothing. And so we saw multiple tests completely fell apart after, like that invasion. Like, PL was never the same. Pandemic Horde was never the same. If it wasn't for the introduction of Frat after that, because if I'm remembering my history correct, Frat was not involved in the wiping out of Goons, but came afterwards. If it wasn't for that, then like Horde would be in a much worse spot, and they're already in a bad spot right now. Like,
Yeah,
so
they're in a pickle.
it's really hard to completely wipe out unless you're breaking. And that's one of the things that, like, Goons have always been good at, is break your morale. Like, if we get in and disband your entire alliance and destroy stuff, this is.
If you read, sorry, I mean to interrupt you, but that's actually, I wanted to bring that up earlier. So that's what we would do in Tribal Band. So the Mittani put it the best way. He's like, look, when you go into Nulv, this is back in 2000. When did I read this? 2010, like a long freaking time ago. He's like, look, soft warfare is not meant to be fun. And you want to take away the fun as fast as you can. And so what you do is you eat gravel, and you make the enemy eat gravel. And the goal is to have them stop eating gravel before you do, while laughing with gravel in your mouth that you made them stop eating gravel. That's the whole point of soft warfare. And so right now, Goons are making Horde eat gravel, and they are the best at it. And so, and that goes back to Mittani. Like, all this, everything like Asher has done is another hot take. I'm just an outside observer, so no one get me. But Asher and all these other guys are building upon the legacy and the foundation that the Mittani laid. This a lot of their core beliefs in soft warfare was laid out by the Mittani, and he's just right, and it works. Like, back then, you would take out, what would you do way back in the day? First, you go after those jump bridges, those little things on passes, right? That used to make you jump faster through you take down jump bridges first. And anything you could do to take away the fun from the enemy is what you would go after first. And that's certainly what they do today. And that's why Goons typically win, because they're willing to eat gravel longer than anybody else.
Well, I mean, I think it also falls back onto the strategy of, like, it's okay to be failed. Like, to not succeed is okay in most Goon eyes. Like, one of the biggest things, like, people will talk about is, like, Goons can't tackle, right? That's like a badge of fucking honor for the Goons. They're like, you're damn fucking right we can't tackle. Like, if you churn, one of the quickest, easiest things that, like, and you kind of see that in real life as well, is to just churn your weaknesses into strengths. Is, like, if you're just like, oh yeah, we're a bunch of fucking pieces of shit. We don't give a fuck about social standards. We don't give a shit about winning. All I care about is shooting down your big ass ship. And if we lose a billion ISK and you lose 500 million ISK, you lost 500 million ISK. Fuck you. Ha ha ha. I don't care. If it took 50 billion ISK in order to do that. You lost something. Like, it will just laugh.
They don't care about the kill board.
Right, if you're crying and we're laughing, that's all we care about, you know? Like, that's... And as long as there's one person in your fleet who's crying, you know, like, we don't need to look at it the whole big picture. We just need to attack, you know, little things here and there, and it degrades people really hard, because if you're the winner alliance, if you're the I always win every battle and you lose one battle, then you're fucked. Goons win one battle and it survives for a year, you know, like, yeah. We won the most epic. Like, they'll talk about that battle that they won for fucking months on end, and everybody's been mad that they're talking about it for months on end. I mean, they don't give a fuck. They're not gonna talk about their losses, or when they hear about it, they're like, yeah, we fucking lost. I don't give a fuck. That's fine.
Yeah,
we did that on purpose.
And I've never been in Goons, right? I've fought Goons my whole life. I've never been in Goons. Now they'll have me. I've been in FanFest. They've been trying to recruit me a couple times ever since. So if I want to get in Goons today, I could. I can't, because I'm part of Eve Guru, so we're neutral now. But with Goons, our culture allows them to eat gravel longer than anybody else, because they all have fun while they do it. Like, they just understand that's the part of the game, and they just somehow make it fun. And it has to be culture that gives you that level of, well, insanity, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So who wants to stand and shoot at a structure all day? But they will do it, and they'll do it with a smile, because they just know they're making their life miserable, and that's it.
Right.
That's all they need.
Tell me though about Eve Guru. So what is Eve Guru? How did you end up creating this, or how did you get involved in this? What is Eve Guru to you?
So when I came back in 19, yeah, it was like, or maybe it was 2020. It was like right around, I guess it was 2020, around COVID. So I came back. I needed something to do, and at that point, I had built my, I started a job. I graduated college. I got through my career. I was a manager at that time, and I learned a lot. And so I do a lot of SQL, Power BI work, a lot of data. And so now I've got my own data team. We do commercial for the business that I'm a part of, and it's all great. And I was a little bored. I'm like, Eve always had markets and things. I never got into it. And all I do now in the real world is we're doing planning for manufacturing, supply chain, all these things. I wondered, could I bring that into Eve? So came back, I built a Power BI report, and what I was doing at first was region to region trading. So I'd have two characters, one was starting to Mar, one starting to Dixie, and then they would travel, they would buy cheap things, and they'd bring it to Jita, buy low and sell high at Jita. And I had a Power BI report that I just click a button, and it pull 5-minute pricing. It did all the math. It'd tell me how many to buy, because you want to buy too much of something. And so I wanted 1 day of supply, and it would say buy this item, this many of that item, and I can just copy paste it right into multi-buy. And I was making about 40 billion a month doing that in profits, playing maybe 3 hours a day. So that was pretty good. And after I got to about 200 bill, I was kind of getting bored. Like, okay, now I could buy every ship in the game, because I'd always been poor my whole life. Like, when you're peaking
now
all
you're
the time,
super rich.
I had like 2 bill in my name. I never bought Plex ever. Like, I always paid, because ISK was too valuable for me.
Right, yeah.
So I would
yeah,
never buy
yeah.
Plex. And to this day, I've never injected cash into the game for ISK, because I just feel like it's, I don't know. I know the fastest way to make money is to stop playing or the fastest way to make ISK is to stop playing Eve, go get a job,
Yeah.
and then work a couple hours at $10 an hour, and then convert that into Plex. It converts to about 2.5 bill an hour.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
that's the fastest
way better than most.
Right.
It's like, yeah, when you're like, for me, it's like I just look at it like my paycheck, and I'm like, okay, so if I just divert a little bit of funds, I can negate hours of work inside the game.
Right, but for me, I like the work because it means it's real. Like, I actually did it, right? And I know not everyone.
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
don't care, but that's just how it is. And so, after getting about 200 bill, now I'm paying my accounts with ISK, which was crazy to me. And I got bored, and so I joined up with Eve University. So Eve University, I started teaching all my secrets to regional trading. I made a YouTube video. It's got like 13,000 views now up on my channel, and I taught my strategy on how to regional trade. And so I'm teaching this like every week and do some industry stuff and trading stuff. So I quickly become like the trading professor for Eve University. I get approached out of the blue by this guy named Ray Zolo. So Ray Zolo, he's the coder behind Eve Guru. And he's like, hey, I've got this tool. I see what you've done in Power BI. Come here and take a look at it. So I opened it up, and it had a bunch of stuff in it, right? All these different tabs, doing all these different things. And my title in the real world is Director of Business Value. So what I'm doing is I'm going through here and saying, okay, how can we take this and will it help me make money faster or not? And most of it didn't. So it was like cool, but it wasn't like I don't really need any of this stuff. But it has all the data, like it has all the building blocks. And when we got to the industry part, the industry calculator was actually really good. And so we teamed up, and so how it works today is Ray does all the coding. So he's just coding like crazy. I do everything else. So manage the community, podcasts, YouTube videos, tutorials, whatnot. And that has gone really, really well. We went from 0, like no one in the Discord, 0 in October. We just passed Eve ISK per hour. Have you guys heard of Eve ISK per hour before?
Not familiar myself.
Yeah, if you're a manufacturer, that thing's been around for 10 years. And so there's like 1,300 people in that Discord. We're getting close to now 1,400. So we are now the largest Discord for any Eve tool ever as of this month. So that's
huge,
cool.
Dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that. And we've put our industry stuff in there. Now it's been like 7 months. So the tool is getting better and better and better. We're about to release a new update here in a couple of days. But we do industry, we do regional trading. So that whole regional trading strategy, that if you watch the YouTube video, we had that fully automated in its own module in our tool, where it just tells you, go here, buy this, and it trades in all directions. So if you want to go from JITA to nullsec, it does that for you. It tells you what to buy, how much to buy, all those things based upon your regional markets. It does station trading. It does all that stuff. So we want to be the tool that tells you what to do. Here pretty soon we'll do profit tracking. So then we can tell you how you did. So you don't have to rely on other tools.
That's cool. I like that.
So we'll do
profit track.
So you'll be able to land in the Eve Guru and you have your own dashboard with all your graphs and lines and charts, your profits, what you did. You'll know when you're going to sell something, you'll know how much you already the cost to it before you go to sell it, so that way you know you're still profitable or not while it's still on the market. All those things. So we got big plans, and we don't plan to stop developing for a while. So job splitting's coming out here in a couple of days. For those who manufacture, that's a pretty big deal. Being able to take a batch of work and say, hey, I just want to run this. I just want to run the work and have it done in a week. How many BPs do I need? And it just spits it out for you. So yeah, it's all coming.
Awesome. So what are some of the one of the big things for the application of you, one of the, I guess from my point of view, one of the things I wanted to ask is like, so what I'm doing is I want to set up and make sure that Haidee leaves a low sec market and Charmer out high sec on the border, very low, normally low traffic kind of area, but I kind of want to bump that up. And one of the big things that I want to do is buy a bunch of compact items. Like just get all the compact items, make sure that they're always on sale, and that I can put up buy orders in different areas. So would this tool help me find markets that I would be looking for to put up buy orders in order to find compact items?
In the fall. So we're calling that trading MRP. So MRP meaning material resource planning. So before I worked with Ray, I also worked with Eden Trade. You know, does Eden Trade sound familiar to you?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he was a speaker, not this year, but last year at FanFest on how to become an Eve tycoon. And so he actually came up to my place. We had dinner together. He was moving from Wisconsin to Florida. So he stopped by, we hung out. It was pretty cool.
Poor guy.
What's that?
Poor guy, leaving Wisconsin to Florida.
Well, he was in Florida for a while. I think he's moving again, so we'll see where he ends up. But maybe. But
yeah, he set up all the markets in StackMon. So when I originally started playing the game 5 years ago, that was my stomping ground there. So
yeah, me too. StackMon and OrthAlert was some of my first market areas.
So what happened when I came back, I was doing my regional trading. I was starting to pile up ISK that I couldn't invest in. So I reached out to Eden and I watched his videos, and I was watching his Excel files, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can make this so much better. So I reached out and said, hey, let's partner up. I'll take a small percentage. I'll optimize your business for you. And he's like, I've never had anybody come in before, but you seem, I'll give you a shot. So I built the Power BI model for free. Like, I just did it just because I believed he would love it. And he did. And because some things, like some ammo, for example, will sell great in one place but terrible in another.
Right, yeah.
But he was putting all of his batches exactly the same. So some stations that item would run out really fast, and other stations it would last forever. And so we built an MRP module in Power BI that says, okay, here you want to put this many ships, over here you want to put this many ships, over here you want to put this much and this much. It was balancing it all out. So that way we could say we want to keep a month of everything in every single station based upon its history. And so that worked out great. It sucked a lot of ISK out of his business because he had a bunch of ISK just piling up dust.
Yeah, just sitting there, so, waiting, for somebody to buy it someday. And then it costs money to have that up on the market. So the more that you have up on the market, the more that you're wasting because you're throwing taxes. And when you get done and they're like, I didn't sell anything, they're like, yeah, that sucks, man, for you. I got my taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, so we sucked all that ISK out of the business. So he reinvested all of that into his really big null-sec station, all of the sky hooks. Now he does like some low-sec fleets that he fully SRPs. So it really freed up all of his money to do other things. And so that partnership worked out really, really well. And we want to bring that into the tool. So what you're talking about is I want to pick a station, and we would give you like 1,200 items, because I already know the 1,200 items that are worth stocking because I have the Power BI on my computer, so I know exactly which items that do real well. And so we would give you the list and say, here's a good list. If you stock all these items, people will come to your station.
Right, yeah, because that's one of the big things too, is to make sure all those items are stacked, right? Because you want to make sure that it's at a, because one of the things that when I first started EVE, and I'm sure a lot of people who have played EVE, and anybody that's listening to this that has this problem, find a fucking trade hub, because like I didn't know what a fucking trade hub was. And I would be like, oh yeah, I'll go hang out in Earth's Alert, and not all the items that I needed were there. Right. And like, so you'd go 5 jumps over here, 3 jumps here, 5 jumps there, and then you go to Dodixie and you're like, oh, every goddamn item's on the fucking market here. Now, there is a certain level of like, there's trade hubs in like Dodixie, JITA, stuff like that have like really, but you also have catered markets, which is like the 0.0, like they might not have everything that JITA has, or maybe what Dodixie has, because like, let's admit it, Dodixie not the greatest market in the world, but
not yet, but it will be.
But yeah, that's the big thing, is that you want the more that you can provide in one area, all in one area, is that if you don't have to leave a station, I will pay triple pipe prices on shit. Like, I will pay stupid amount of ISK on a bunch of stuff, and that's why, like, I'm always a huge advocate of Hey Die Less. And one thing, it's got the best name. It's one of the because it's Hey Die Less. It's not Haiti Lee's. Bullshit. That's a fucking crappy name. The real name is Hey Die Less, because that's exactly what it spells out to. And it's right next to Old Man Star, which is one of the other coolest names in all of EVE Online. Because why the fuck would you call that something? And it's got a story, it's got a whole thing. If you want to know why it's called Old Man Star, there's a fucking reason. And for me, I really want to provide all of the like compact items and those really high ticket items that are just like everybody wants. And if I can provide all of that in one station, people fucking buy it, and they'll buy it, especially when you're there. You put a markup on it, because I did fucking work to move this shit from all these other places to build it myself, or however. Like, because even if you're building yourself, you gotta source the materials. You gotta one thing that I've learned about being a marketeer is that marketing, or like building stuff, is all about where are you buying it from, how are you getting this item, how much time is it taking you to get this item. Like, where can you just circumvent that and get it from here?
Can't do it in Excel.
Yep.
Can't do that. You can do it in Excel, but man, it is painful.
It's a lot of work.
Guru automates the whole thing, so you know immediately where, how much, what batch, the whole 9 yards. And as for your station ask, definitely this fall, because we want to do profit tracking before we do that. Just to
Okay,
keep
yep.
it within. We're going to get profit tracking out. Like that's going to be our next big module. So we're going to do a polishing round here over the summer, because it's the summer, and then we'll do profit tracking. Right after that, it'll be trading MRP. So we'll take the Eden Trade model, and Eden Trade will use it, no doubt, for what he does. And we're going to release it out to everybody else. So you could pick your solar system, your station, like this station, I want to stock these items. Here's the minimum, because what's going to happen is, here's the problem, is that with regional trading, which is what we're doing right now, the regional trading is tied to statistics, right? So if something is never sold someplace, the answer is 0. But oftentimes something is never sold because it was never available.
Right.
And so
yeah.
when you set up the station, you're gonna have minimum stocking levels. Okay, usually you want to keep like 3, I don't know, let's just say 5 damage control tech 2s,
Right.
3
yeah.
of this hardener, 5 of that plate, some sort of minimum number, just so you can make sure you're generating demand signals. And what we saw with Eden Trade, because his prices was he would not compete on pricing, so his margins was at 40%. And I told him, compete on price, cut your price down to your margins only 20%. And when he brought this up during FanFest, the Oz was there, and Oz was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. You're going to cut your margins in half because this guy told you to. Is that really going to work? Well, and at the time, we had just done it. And the answer is, oh, yeah, it worked. His profitability his profits went from 60 billion to 100. The reason is that the demand just tripled at these stations.
Right,
Now
yeah.
he's price competitive.
Yep.
And so the margins were smaller, but the throughput was just spinning like crazy. We were running out. We thought we were putting a month of stuff on the market, and it would turn into a week. And so our buys got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to stock these stations, and our profits got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to go with it. And the same thing would happen to you with Hadalese. It was first you get a small demand signal, and next month it get bigger and then bigger, and before you know it, word is out, Hadalese is decent, right? And then it just starts to escalate so quickly. And you're making billions at that point.
Yeah, and
we would buy. By the way, we're buying off the G to sell. We would go to G to sell. Right-click, multi-buy, hit enter, haul it. We'll have PushX haul it.
Yep.
We have PushX haul it. We even do the hauling, and we'd list it up at a 20% markup. And guess what? People freaking buy that stuff like crazy.
Oh yeah,
I personally would never have done it.
I mean, especially when like a lot of the times those prices, some of like one of the reasons why I've always been attracted to like compact items is because you can put like 100% markup on those items, and people are like buying them like candy because it's under $1 million ISK. If you're under $1 million ISK, it's people don't fucking bat an eye in low sec. Like I've been a low sector for a long time, and we're just like super glad the item's there. We don't even give a fuck how expensive it is. I mean, like, if it's ridiculous, like, if it's over $1 million ISK, we're going to look at it. Is it a tattoo item? What is this? What's going on? Under 100 million ISK, I don't give a fuck what the item is. I don't care what the average price is. I don't care how overpriced it is. It's under $1 million ISK. I'm going to buy that item, and we're going to move on. Because I'm just happy I can just dock and get it. Like, and it is a big balance thing about that, because how much can you go above before? And then the thing that I've always gone off is competition. I'm like, oh, you're competing with me? Fine, I'll go down to whatever is profitable to me now, and I'll just fuck with you and just try and take my market, because I want my market and I'm gonna sell my shit. I just want it to sell. I want it to fucking sell. That's my biggest like thing about like whenever I do these things. I hate throwing up something that's gonna be there for months. It's like I don't want it to be there. I want it to be. I do understand waiting a little bit, because immediate gratification in EVE is dangerous. Because the moment you just like, immediate sell, it's like you've just sold so many items at 0.5 ISK. Like, you can't just immediate sell everything. Like, I
would tell you, Eden Trade's got a bit of a vindictive bone in him, because he's got 17 different stations. He'll have a guy sometimes come in and compete at like Frarn. Now, Frarn is hilarious because it's right next to Ren's. It has no business being as big as it is, but it's Eden Trade's second biggest market. And because Frarn just happens to have everything, and Ren's may not, right? The irony there is so weird. But occasionally people come in and try to compete with him, and he'll just start tanking prices, right? Because he'll force them out of there. Because even if he takes a loss or breaks even, everywhere else is profitable. So he's got that Rockefeller FU in his back
it's
pocket.
The pure capitalism aspect of it. I'm willing to take a loss for a little bit if it kicks you out of the market, because you don't understand how much profit I'm making. Like, yeah, you came in and started undercutting me because there's a lot of profit in this activity that
That's
I'm
right.
doing, and
That's
I'm just
the
gonna
beauty
kick you the fuck
beauty of the
out
free
because
market.
you got to fight with that whole thing. Like, how long can you and money makes money, man. Like, that's just, the more that you're in the business, the more that you set yourself up, the more likely you are to be able to push through those kind of systems. But having tools like you have is where you can. One of the things is, don't go to competition with there's plenty of fucking space out there.
That's
like,
right.
That's
Make your own market.
If you're gonna go toe to toe with somebody, you better have a fucking reason. Like, in the marketing in EVE, because it's been around for a long time. You're getting in the game now. What I will say, though, is if getting in the game now, don't be disparaged by, oh, somebody already has Do Dixie. Well, of course they have fucking Do Dixie. It's been around for fucking ever. The nobody's in fucking Charm. I'll tell you this much, and the Charm is a little pocket of specialty where I want to get into, but I'm also one of those people that's kind of a dick. I'm gonna get into it so that you get into it, so that you take over my job, so that I don't have to do that anymore. Like, I kind of, and every time I go to FanFest, every time I talk to him, I'm just like, I come to Hate Die Less. There's a bunch of fucking profit to be made here. I'm making a bunch of profit. I'm low level on this shit. If you just come in here in mass and take care of this shit, like, this is where people want to be, where people want to buy their shit and, like, go out and do the things. Spend 10 years now that Hey Die Less has been a popular low-sec weird system. Old Man Star, always been a really interesting system. Not enough of a choke point. Hey Die Less is right at that point. Anyways, but I'm always just trying to convince other people to do my job, because I want to be able to, like, open up Hey Die Less and be like, yeah, look at all this shit I can buy. I had to buy this so I can move on, because, to be honest, I do love space trucking in EVE in a weird way. Like, like, I don't ever want to have to do it, but when I do it, it is heart fucking pounding. When you got, like, 5 billion ISK in a cloak hauler, and you're just like, okay, if I fuck up, it's 5 billion, like 3 Thrashers kills my fucking ship in a 0.5. What am I gonna do about it? Not fuck up.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
I saw a Star Trek episode about space hauling, where there was Worf blows up a ship that decloaks in front of his ship. Now, I disagree with the decloaking in front of the ship, unless you got bumped by accident or whatever. Some weird shit happens when you're hauling shit. But you got caught in a weird bubble, blah blah blah. But, like, they were like, why would a civilian ship have a cloak on it? And there was, like, a whole discussion on Reddit about it, and, like, that's like that's weird. Why would you do that? And I'm like, why wouldn't you? I play EVE Online. I haul expensive goods. Why would you not put a cloak on your ship? That's fucking weird. Like, you would absolutely be cloaking your shit, because how do you avoid danger? Cloak. Like, it's great to drop people, but it's also really brilliant to move goods. It's good, like, if you're, like, the more that you put in one haul, and if somebody can scan your ship, they're gonna be like, hey man, that guy's got like 10 billion ISK in him. It takes like a quarter of a billion ISK to blow him up. Let's go do this.
Definitely want to learn, especially if you're doing with freighters, and get your webbing alt out there. A hyena with triple webs will insta warp your freighter when you web it. That's what keeps my jump freighter alive. The one time I didn't do that, it got nuked by Wolfie, and what system was that? Elin Ursta. So that was unexpected. Thankfully, it was empty, but still a jump freighter. So
I have the dreaded Udumi or Idamia.
Oh yeah,
Udama.
Dun, dun, dun.
I posted a kill mate for that raid. Why do you have cargo expanders on there? I don't
yeah. You don't need to. You just
don't put cargo expanders on a jump freighter. That's like
it's.
Jump freighter
I rewatched the tape. It was on Twitch, so I actually had this thing recorded. And so I went back and watched the recording. It would not have. He had 34 stealth bombers, landed 0 on that gate. It wouldn't have mattered how because I was rerunning through. Okay, what do I need to do differently? And the answer was, well, I was screwed anyway.
Yeah, have some webs. That was the.
That was the answer. I went on his kill board. He'd been killing jump freighters since 2022. And he's just got loads of them. I was looking through the fits. It didn't matter how they were fitted; they all died.
Yeah, they calculated it out. Because the thing about stealth bombers
Yeah.
is that, I mean, even, you know, if you're spending $1 billion and you're killing, you know, like it's always 50-50, right? It's like the drop rate. So you just look at that and you calculate it out. And if you do it enough, it will balance. Like that's just how it is.
He's like, I'm going to get that kill mail one way or another. So he didn't care if it was empty or not. So now I've got a triple webbing hyena. So as soon as the jump freighter comes out of cloak, you know, when it goes through the gate, it's insta warping to the next gate.
I've also heard a lot of people saying, and I'm interested to hear your take on this, is don't use a jump freighter, use a freighter until the last jump. And that's where you store your jump freighter, and then you just do you get one leg of the jump that you have to do. You can do it from an unknown position. So and a freighter as far is normally, if you're floating it with the concept of you're going to be putting it into a jump freighter, or even if, you know, like the way you can kind of dull it out a little bit different, that because a freighter is a little bit more tanky and less conspicuous, or less of a prize possession.
Way.
But it's gonna get
for me, because I don't want to say I'm lazy, I'm just efficient, and so I do reactions in Igniting. So I want my jump freighter back in Jita, so I can load it up with all the child parts and just jump it right into Igniting dock, drop off my child parts to get those jobs going, and then get it back to Jita, which is only like 3 jumps. So here pretty soon I'm gonna have 3 jump freighters, because 2 other characters just got in them, so that way I could do 3 jump freighters jump at the same time. So I don't have to spend so much time going back and forth, right? Because at the end of the day, Eve is all about how much time you spend.
Yeah,
really
time is money. It's a really big time is money.
I prefer not to be spending my time hauling. I'd much rather spend my time clicking buttons, which is building stuff or selling stuff. So we use Eve Guru to do all the planning, because I don't want, God forbid, I'd have to plan all this stuff manually. Like the people back in the old days, like my hats off, because you guys are on a different level of crazy than me. So with Eve Guru, it's all done automatically on every item in the game, instantly, with any scenario I want to run. And I can run them in parallel, so I can do what if scenarios all in real time. So that's nice. So when it comes to hauling, I just want to get it over with. So I go back to doing something that's fun. So yeah, jump freighters and Jita is kind of a must for me. And the hyena keeps them safe enough. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah. It's always, there's always windows of opportunity for failure or success in Eve.
That's right.
And we do have a local celebrity, Mr. CSM himself, Young Puke, talking about how the majority of the war zone is. Welcome, Young Puke, and 49 to 41, we are fucking kicking ass, man. It is, and that's where I'm in talks. This is a little bit of a diplomatic thing of working the Federation Frontline Report, working with Eve Guru. I know that Nightflyer, you said you were taking a look at the tool. If you could give us a little bit of a personal report that you got on this. Oh, and Corvus. Jesus Christ, the greatest enemy in the entire universe, one of the coolest people that we hang out with at FanFest. I scram and web that guy as much as I see.
I saw Crota in here a minute ago. I mean, he's famous in my circle, so yeah, Crota was in here.
Look at that.
He's usually on the Oz quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Famous people. Look at the crowd you're drawing in. This is all you.
I don't think it's me. I'm pretty sure it's you guys.
Well, it's us. Together, our powers combined, like Captain Planet, you know.
Captain Planet, the 90s.
But yeah, so Nightflyer, what you were taking a look at the tool here before we got onto the podcast here.
Yeah, well, you and I started talking about it a couple of shows ago, or even starting last year, as far as faction warfare and how to keep the money ball rolling. How do I keep getting ships, and how do I get those supplies and stuff in, and how do we use the LP? What can you buy to put on the market to again keep that nest egg rolling so that you can keep the ships to blow up. So it's something I've been kind of dabbling in. I think I'm only down like $500,000 so far this year, or $500 million so far. So I think I'm going in the wrong direction, but I'm like
you're
refer to
working
that as
on
my
the new
seed money.
ideas.
That's just some seed
The
money. to
learning
figure this
learning
stuff out,
experience,
so.
right?
Yeah.
Wait,
So-
are you down the half a bill because of Eve Guru's not helping you, or is it
No,
because
no,
it's
no.
before
This-
Eve Guru?
This is before Eve
Okay.
Guru. That's why I'm looking for
I was like, oh gosh.
I'm looking for
what's
the tools to kind of turn stuff around. Yeah, because
Yeah, now
You know,
he's
there
looking
are
into
other-
tools that'll help him not be a $500,000 skin the
Yeah.
hole.
yeah,
I'm
there
telling
are.
Eve
Does-
Guru,
I mean-
Eve Guru is your tool. We have a brand new guy. Like he only had 2 builds to his name, right? And he started doing industry. He's already made 4 builds this month, right? And so he's just like, oh my god, like everything he did, he said failed. And then Eve Guru just tells you what to do. You can do like 1-day jobs where you can just switch. I had a job, I kid you not. I built 2 days ago. I built mobile. What do they think those things called? Mobile depots. Mobile depots.
Mhm.
I don't know
Oh,
what they're
yeah.
used for. And the market was constrained. Kicked out like 500 of them, and I made $1 billion in a day. And I ran the job. The job only took like 20 hours to run. And I got it on Eve Tycoon because I use Eve Tycoon right now to do profit tracking because there's nothing
Yeah.
else that does.
Mhm.
And so like bam, there it was. So you could make profits pretty quick if you're willing to be, agile. So and the BPCs, like I did it with 0 BPOs, because the BPOs were like 5 million each. So I bought like 37 of them, so I can kick out all the jobs I need to do. And Eve Guru tells you all that, by the way. It tells you how many jobs you gotta do, how many BPs you need if you have it or not, how many minerals it will take. You can right-click on the shopping list. It creates a multi-buy for you. So I went from knowing nothing to kicking out jobs in 15 minutes. It came on tomorrow, sold them, made $1 billion. It's pretty gross. Like I almost feel dirty, but
Hey,
It
man,
works.
like that's the demand versus supply.
Supply.
Man. That's
That's-
it's
yeah.
a huge thing, and even physically having to move to because where you sell that, because if you just sold that in bumfuck Egypt, you wouldn't have got that. Like
no.
if
Yeah.
you sell
can
it
set your
in
market.
New York, it's different. Well, and it's different. Don't sell in New York. Sell in Colorado.
Yeah, my favorite setting, because when you get into Eve Guru, there's a lot of buttons and settings. It's overwhelming at first. You want to watch the tutorials, but one of my favorite setting is buying off the G to sell, which no one ever tells you to do. Everyone's always like put in the buy order, right? I never put in buy orders because they take a while to fill and they suck up my ISK. So you would be shocked by the amount of ISK you can make just buying stuff off the G to sell, turning it into something different, and relisting it back on the market. It's absurd. And that's because there's so many items going through supply and demand at the same time. And they're all nested, right? You have these child parts that take child parts that take child parts. The market cannot equalize. It just can't. And so in that is opportunity. So Eve Guru just tells you what it is. And yeah.
So one thing
it's,
I have a question for you:
pretty
do you have LP planning in or do you do that already? Is that something that can I look at that and be like, this is where I should spend my Galente LP? Because to be
Yes.
honest, that is one of the worst aspects of faction warfare, is to know what to spend your LP on for real. Like I just do blueprints because there's a discount on blueprints. I know there's a discount on blueprints. I know I want those ships. I know I'm going to use those blueprints to build ships, and then I'm going to use them and get them blown up. So I've been okay with just the idea that my LP supplies my PvP habit, and then I need to make some ISK somewhere, or just spend with my credit card, whatever, in order to get the manufacturing aspect of that going. But once it gets going, I'm pretty self-sustained, even with the massive amount of ships that I just give out. Like if I was sustaining myself, I'd be way more rich than I am now. But I sustain a corporation and stuff. But one thing I've learned is that you can make a lot of fucking money doing faction warfare, like enough to supply that kind of shit. But how to spend LP is probably one of the hardest things in EVE Online that I've run into.
It's automated. So with Eve Guru, there's a button called the LP store. You check it, you hit update. If you right click on the columns, there'll be a checkbox. We have it hidden by default because most of our users are not LP folks, but there's a ISK per LP column, profit per LP, that you can check, sort it. So like right now, large consortium Vorton projectors, wherever the heck that thing is, it sells 2 per day in Jita, and the profit on it is outrageous. Now, What we're not doing yet is we don't put ISK attached to the LP quantity itself as a cost. Because some people like to buy LP, right, and then just change it over. So that's coming again later this year. We're gonna have an entire LP workflow where if you like to trade LP and you want to convert that into items, we'll have all that baked. It's actually like 80% done. We just had to pivot into profit. We had to pivot into profit tracking because it was just
profit tracking. I agree with you, man. That's if you get profit tracking on there, then you're in a leg up. Like you said, there's very little like Eve. What was it, Eve?
Eve Tycoon is our
right.
We don't really view Eve Tycoon as a competitor. Like they've been around for a long time. I use them. I love them. I have nothing but good things to say about them. But we need profit tracking in the tool to connect up our trading, manufacturing profits all in one place. And we're going to allow people to opt in to ranking boards. And so one of my favorite tools back in the day,
cool. Gamify
one of my favorite tools was Eve Commander back in like 2012. And you could opt into a ranking board where you would rank against other players based on your profits per day, and it'd track out your profits. It wouldn't tell you what you were doing. It would just tell you, here's the profits this person is making. And so it was a way to flex. And I was always number 2. There was always this one guy who was like God tier. Just, I don't know what that guy was doing. Just making 10 billion a day. But we're going to allow people to do opt-ins like that too. So we wanted to focus on that first, but soon after that, I mean, the LP optimization is like 80% done. But what we have today does work. So you can click, again, the LP store, hit update, and mid-grade Nemesis betas. If you can get your hands on those are stupidly profitable. So, and again, you can send it over to the ledger, tell you how to build it. Because some things just don't take LP, right? It takes subcomponents. So we do all that. It does all of that. It tells you, okay, based on the G to sell price, and then based upon the LP you need, here's what's profitable. And there you go.
Just a little note from Shinji, which is one of our epic legendary Logi pilots, is he used one of the things is that he used Eve Noose for profit tracking for a while, but the way that Eve Tycoon displays it is much better. So like, and that is one thing that's actually like interesting about like app builders and stuff like that. It's like how you display your information is very critical to like adoption of your platform. Where it's like if you're if it's hard to understand, and Nightfly, you were able to play around with it. How did you feel about the UI that they have so far? Is there any suggestions or any things that you ran into?
Yeah, there's a lot to it, and again, I still have a lot to learn. But there's a lot of simple like tools I found, because you can, once you got your character downloaded into it, and you have like your assets tab, just like you do in game, and this is actually broke down because it's the list of all the stations, but it was the total volume of stuff I have in that station and the value of it in Jita. And as far as logistics and moving stuff, that alone is a tool I found helpful. The in-game doesn't give you all of that. And I did find that I do have a couple of ships I didn't know that I bought. So
you actually bring up you're like, I should talk about the asset tracker more often, because it seems like the first thing that hooks people into Eve Guru is actually not the trading or the industry.
I just need to know where my shit's at, man. Where's my stuff?
Not only do we tell people like where your ships are, how much ISK is in your station, how much M3 is in your station. You could actually go in the ship and it tells you what's in its cargo hold. We could tell you if you have skyhooks, you could drill into your skyhook. It'll tell you how much of that moon goo or whatever is in your skyhook. And so if there's an asset in the game, it's there. And the game, EVE Online does not give you that, but we do. So yeah, if you have assets anywhere, if you have fuel in your carrier, fuel bay, it'll be in there. And you can drill to your carrier, open it up, all that stuff. So yeah, if something's lost, you will find it in EVE Guru for sure. We have a lot of plans for that too. Because we want to get like Jeeve assets is something people use. So our profit tracker is also going to be an asset tracker. And so we can track your asset value through time as well. That's going to be part of the profit tracking module. And so, because people use Jeeve assets to track their basically the value of their inventory, right, over time. So we want that's an easy one for us to go get. So yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that's
just
huge.
so many things, you know, so many good things, and we can work on one thing at a time. So we're just trying to
Yeah.
hit the things that are the highest value one at a time.
That's smart.
That's
yeah.
what I can tell people. If you are looking for a marketing tool, and that's what I'm getting for, is that this seems to be kind of the go-to catch it all. So if I'm going to Eve Tycoon, and then I have to go to Adam for Eve, and then I have to go to pick another one. I don't care.
A lot of them.
Again, yeah.
Per hour.
Yeah, Eve Marketer. I will go with that one.
Eve
so, 'cause
Marketer.
those are the three I go to a lot, and so this one tool is where my ESI is on it. So it's got my character, my marketing character, and all her stuff there. Her skill levels, all her stuff, and I can use that to,
your inventory levels. That's the big one. When you start building stuff, the fact that you use your actual inventory is a big one. Because we allocate, when you get deeper into industry, you start doing like, okay, I'm gonna do this job, and then tomorrow I'm gonna do this other job and this other job. It's hard to keep track in your head of your inventory levels, right? The tool does that for you because we do hard allocation. So every time you put a job in the ledger, it's already allocating inventory to that job, top to bottom, and it'll tell you, hey, here's everything that's constrained, and here's your shopping list that you need to go buy. And you already know it's profitable because you checked it in the calculator. So, like, we want to get the math out of people's heads, so that way you can just play the freaking game. So
that's
huge. Just tell me what to point and click on so that I can again make money, so I can buy ships, so I can go blow them up. That's
now for a new Eve Guru user, I would, if you just want to make money, right? You don't care how. I would point you towards the trading modules first, because trading by nature is much easier than manufacturing. Manufacturing, you got to invent, you got to copy, you got to research, you have to freaking build the thing and buy all the stuff, and you have steps. So if you get to the production ledger and you want to do a jump freighter, there's 7 steps to build a jump freighter. We lay that out for you step by step. First, build your fuel blocks, then do these reactions, then do those reactions, and eventually then build these capital components, and then step 7, build a jump freighter. And so Eve Guru feels complicated for industry because it is. Eve made it that way.
Right.
So with trading, it's just buy low, sell high.
Right, yeah.
So
very simple concept, but also very complicated when it comes to how crazy things are in Eve with how there is distance. Like, most games don't have distance. Most games you go to the bazaar, dude. Like, everybody talks to everybody.
Right, yeah, you gotta haul it.
There's an internet.
We had a station trader too.
Like there is no Amazon in Eve. Like, that's the thing.
No.
You can't just go. You can go online and order something, but it's not that easy.
Yeah. If you do station trading, then you don't have to move at all. We have a station trader too. If you just want to put up buy orders and wait till tomorrow and list whatever you get, I mean, that's definitely a way to make money. Don't have to move. So we have that too. And we give data that CCP does not give you. So, like, if you do markets and you look at an item, all the bars along the bottom is both the buy, it's the buy and the sell demand, all stacked, right? Which for a trader is not that helpful. You just want to know what's sold off the sell order. We actually use market statistics so Eve, Adam for Eve takes 15-minute snapshots of the market, and they try to guesstimate how much is sold to a sell order versus a buy order. They split the demand. They don't reconcile it back to CCP's regional data, but we do. So we take their data, we make it better. So we have the most accurate market splitting, demand splitting signal. So you could, on station trading, you can pull up an item and you can see, okay, this item gets sold to a buy order 3 times a day and it sells on a sell order 5 times a day, and the profit margins are huge. So I should be able to get at least 3 of these a day if I'm the top price in the market, right? And so it tells you what to buy. It'll say buy 3 of those, 5 of these, 6 of these, because we want to protect your ISK. We want your ISK to be cast over a really wide range of items, but not too deep. So that way you have a shot at getting all this different stuff if you're station trading. So that way you can relist it and make some money on it, right? Before the opportunity goes away. And so the tool does all of that automatically. You don't have to plan it all. So I would do trading first, get your feet wet, because the UI is also really easy. It's just one page. And there's very few buttons to pick from because trading is just kind of simple. Industry is a lot more complicated because that's just the nature of it. And if you ever get into industry in the real world, where you're building things in the real world, it's even harder. So It's just the nature of building
So
stuff.
Shinji asked, in Eve Guru's subscriptions, what does the regional day trader subscription get them?
So we have 3 different subscription models. So let's take a step back and talk about why we're doing subscriptions to begin with. Because most tools in Eve are free. Now, Eve Tycoon isn't. They have a free version for like 30 days, but basically it's not free. So Ray codes. And when Ray is playing Eve, he wants to do the fun stuff, not the ratting stuff. And so we do subscriptions so that way Ray can play the game. His version of ratting is coding. So the subscriptions allow us to not have to waste time doing non-value added work, which is, running missions. So we have 3 different modules. So firstly, the tool is free for 30 days. You can put a character in there, it's free. Everything is open with the exception of the regional day trader, which I know you're asking about, and I'll get to in a second. The other modules are 200 mil a month. You ought to make your profit back on a module within a day. If you don't make 200 mil in profit in a day, something's wrong. Like something's broke. So because you have it free for 30 days, you should see billions and billions in profits before you have to pay for the tool for the first time. So there shouldn't be any stress on you. The hope is, like, we do that on purpose. We're trying to hook you in. Like, I'll be transparent.
Here's a little bit of my free drug here,
like,
but you love it, so you want to go. You want to work 5 times
I'm giving
faster.
you cocaine. Yeah, I'm giving you cocaine. And the idea is, after your month, when you go to try to do this by yourself, or you're like, oh, I can replicate this through Excel, which we encourage. Take what we do, see if you can do it in Excel. And after your first couple of days, you'll be back. Because it's painful.
This house-made cocaine, not as good as this meth that's created by Breaking Bad. Man.
Yeah. Because most people can make 100 million per hour, right? If you're once you get high enough in Eve, you can make 100 mil an hour pretty easily. Most folks can. And so the question I ask folks is, does Eve Guru save you 2 hours a month? Because if it does, you're already at break even. That's your opportunity cost, is 2 hours. And I think the answer is a resounding yes. As for the regional trader, we do not advertise the regional trader because it's too freaking powerful, and we don't want 500 people in it. So there is no trial, and there is a tutorial on the YouTube. So the best you can see is on the YouTube thing. If you're a regional trader, like, you already get it. We have 60 people in it, and most of those folks are nullsec guys. We have some guys in high sec flying around. We got a lot of nullsec people like crazy using it. It's $1 billion a month. So I know it feels like a big number, but if you go to our Discord, Commander Raw, he likes to flex. So he's been dropping in screenshots, doing high sec regional trading in the Discord. He cleared 110 billion last month with it. So it just kind of depends on what kind of scale you wanted to do it at. But it's too powerful for us to do a trial, and it's too powerful for me to show even here. Even if I could bring it up, I wouldn't do it. So, yeah.
Cool, yeah. So yeah, Shinji's one of our epic lodges. He's lawn.
Yeah, if you're in regional. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh,
I just saw
go ahead.
Response from Shinji. She said, or he or she said, I'm a regional nullsec trader. It feels like it's for yes. It's actually literally built for you, and you can put in all your nullsec stations. So if you're trading between nullsec regions, which sounds pretty freaking cool, you can set up all your different nullsec stations if you have permissions to dock, and then you can have them trade between each other. You can have them, like, it'll tell you every single system. So most of it will be Cheetah or Amar or the Dixie going to those nullsec stations. But if you have items that can trade between those stations, it'll tell you that too. So definitely worth a hard look. Watch the tutorial, see what you think. But regional trading is easy. It's just buy low, sell high, and go haul it. And
yeah, so
that's
what
why
you're doing is all the hard part, which is gathering all that data, tell you what is sell high. So buy low, sell high.
Because you can go to a website like evetrade.space, and they'll tell you all the buy low, sell high things. The problem with it is that it's filled with junk. You get all these like.
Yeah, that's the problem
like
that I have with
pages.
LDLP stuff, which it's like, yeah, there's like one item got sold 20 years ago at this price, and now you're like, yeah, this is the greatest item to sell, and it's like, this never fucking sold ever again because nobody fucking needs it now, or whatever the fuck. There's weird shit that pops out all the time on that shit, and you gotta kind of scour through it. and like you can spend time scouring through it all the time, or you can go to one spot and be like, hey, scour through this shit. All right, good. Now this is where it is, and it changes.
Exactly.
And that's the problem with Eve. Eve is like it's not going to stay the same. Next month you might have to renegotiate your ideas of what is sell low and buy high. Like, cause
Eve Group does all of that for you. So with my favorite column, it's called days of supply, sure, but days of demand. So we actually tell you how many of these sell every single day at that location that you're trying to sell to, right? That's the first big thing, because no one else does it. I tried to get the dev on Eve Trade Space. I'm like, just give me daily demand, and he said, I don't play Eve no more, sorry. So,
you do it yourself, huh?
Basically, and so we did. The other thing is that when we talked about what you just said, pricing changes over time. So in our trading modules, and we're bringing this to the calculator starting next week, once we get job splitting out here in the next day or two, where we call it the risk profile. So in the risk profile, you can set as many days as you want. Its default is 14 days, but let's say 90. And so you set it for 90 days, and it'll tell you, we call it the period price. So you have price right now, and then you have period price. So you can see if the price right now is really, really high, and the period price is more reasonable, and the price you're buying it for is still lower, like you're good. Because even if the price tanks to the last 90-day average, you're still going to make some money. And so the tool that does all that automatically, it'll tell you you're going to make somewhere between 500% ROI or 5% ROI, depending on how fast that pricing tanks, right? And so someone like me, I actually set my period, I set it to like 21 days, I set it to negative 10%, because I want the chance to lose a little bit of money, just so I can grab all those high ticket items that are a little bit more risky. And I find that 9 times out of 10, I still make a killing on them. So we go through all that in the tutorial on our YouTube channel, if you look at our regional trader.
So speaking of the tutorial, well, Grath has a question here. Would you recommend watching tutorial first, or use the product first, and then when you get stuck on something, go to the tutorial?
Great question. So when I was a Power BI dev, I Power BI dev'd for like 6 months on my own, just kind of figuring stuff out. And then one day I sat down through Udemy, I took a course, I think it was like, I spent $50. And it was like a 2-day course. I took that course and thought, oh my gosh, I should have just done this from the beginning, because it unlocked all this stuff. Like, I've been working unoptimally for so freaking long. I didn't even know all the stuff I was missing out on. And I would highly, because the tutorial's not long. And the thing about my tutorials is that you can't even speed them up. If you try to speed them up, I'm gonna be like zipping so fast that you won't be able to hear what I'm saying. So I'm very conscientious on getting to the point, being quick about it. I'm sure you can feel that now, right? Like, getting to the point, being quick about it, and teaching you what you need to know. So I would definitely watch the tutorial first, because you want to make sure it's something you want anyways, but watch the tutorial first, then hop on in with a character for free for 30 days, poke around with it, and if you're like, okay, yeah, we're cooking, then jump right on in. And by the way, that 200 million applies to all characters. You can have 300 characters in that tool if you want to. It's just a fixed cost. It's going to be that cost forever. And yeah.
Awesome. So I want to make sure that we're way over time, but that's fine, because this is some cool ass shit that you're talking about. It's always I'm always interested in industry, and the movement of items in Eve, I think, is one of the most spectacular things about Eve. It's like the bazaar is all over every game that you've ever played. Ultima Online had kind of this system. There's no way they didn't know what APIs were, or what the fuck, how to connect to any. I mean, there was some little bit of shit out there, but like, you had your like little character bazaar that you can kind of put up. You might make some money, but Eve like really pushes this whole like, you could be a fucking millionaire. Like, just go out and just manipulate the market. Trillionaire, right? Yeah, it's
Commander Raw. Commander Raw will be our first Eve Guru trillionaire, probably. If he paces the way he's pacing, and it's scalable, he's not killing himself doing what he's doing, he ought to clear 1.2 trillion this year. So, I mean, it's you can do it, and it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard.
With a
like,
raid,
the average person can do it.
Thank you for the raid here. But yeah, so this is so something I would highly, everybody that just joined, check out Eve Guru. We just spent a bunch of time talking about it. Check it out on our podcast. We just got done a huge amount of things, but I wanted to make sure that you had some time. And once again, we just got a bunch of people, so we'll make sure you got a pitch here. But is there anybody that you want to shout out to? Your mom and dad watching this? Is, you know, like, you got, you know, like, anybody that inspired you to do great in industry? Is there any specific, you know, examples that you want to put out there, people that you want to shout out to?
I mean, I can't give names because that'd just be a little weird, but I can just say a lot of my coworkers are great. The leadership team I work with is amazing. I've learned a lot in, you know, the real world that I'm able to put in here. People within the game, like, I don't know where Amzi went. Like, he's just gone. But if someone could find Amzi and just send him my way, I'd be deeply appreciative because I miss that guy. Back in the tribal band days, like, he was the glue holding a lot of things together, and I just miss him. He was a great guy. But give him a shout out, and of course Ray for making this crazy tool to begin with. So yeah, and shout out to you guys for having me on for sure.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
And the odds. Wait. The odds.
I was about to say, I was surprised you didn't say anything about the odds. You're like, I'm just
been on the odds 3 times. So. We've been invited back, but we're waiting. We're wanting to do some more polishing first because we haven't even showed his audience yet the trading modules. And so that's literally for his audience. And so we want to do one more polishing run before we get on the Oz. So big shout out to the Oz. I know he's also on the CSM. And I would have kicked myself if I would have forgotten that. He's on our website as well. Any kind of news you guys want to follow up with, I'll just drop a quick little link in here. You can go there. So that's where you can find the tool to download it. That's where our stories are. You can become a contributor. So if you like to have your own blog, it's free. Just go to the little blog link there, click become a contributor. I've frozen. We could probably talk about that later because I could put your stories and your streams right here on the front of our website.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit. Yeah, that's something that we can work together in the future of having a little bit more of
so if you guys are interested in that,
from Eve Guru, that's cool.
Yeah, that's all free. I mean, you don't have to be an Eve Guru user at all for that. Anybody can do it. So we got some authors on there, and you can put up your own content.
And then I just want to make sure that, you know, we just got a bunch of viewers that just dropped in. So give us your elevator pitch for Eve Guru.
My elevator pitch for Eve Guru is, if you like to trade, and you like to do industry, and you're finding it really complicated, or you got a bunch of Excel files, you don't have to suffer. Instead, you can just download Eve Guru. It's free for 30 days, so there's no risk to you. We've got tutorials on our YouTube, and it will kill Excel. That is our goal. It will kill your Excel files. It all runs automatically. It runs off your characters. It'll tell you what to build, how much to build, and you will make billions with it. You can hop in our Discord. You can just talk to our users. We are now we're now the largest Discord in the Eve community of any other software tool. So pushing 1,400 users or 1,400 people now in the Discord. So you can just ask them yourself, and we hope to see you over there.
So I have a 1-day-old character. What can I do? Can I use Eve Guru, or do I need to wait?
You can hop in Eve Guru. So if you want to do industry with a 1-day-old character, you only need industry 1 to do many of your tech 1 items. And those BPOs are cheap. They're usually like 30,000 ISK, right? So if you're a brand new character and you want to start dabbling in industry, and you want to, you're going into the hardest thing in the game right off the bat. So, you know, you probably have a pair of cojones, but hop right on in. Eve Guru will show you how to do it. And at the very least, it's going to train you. It will naturally train you how to manufacture, even if you're a brand new character. If you have questions, you have 1,400 people that are more than happy to help you.
And then you also advocate very strongly for market trading, which is something that, you know, size-wise, you know, you're going to want to wait a while to get a freighter to move a bunch of items. But sometimes you don't need a bunch of size in order to actually move something. You can move billions of ISK with, you know, very little cargo space.
You can move billions of ISK with a frigate sometimes, depending on what the item is. So typically, we like to encourage, my number is usually you want about 10 billion before you get into regional trading. You could probably go like down to 5 billion before you do station trading. But we had a guy, had 3 billion. He paid $1 billion for the regional trader, which I didn't know until after the fact. He had 2 billion to trade with. He turned that 2 billion. he profited 4 billion that month, and he took that 6 billion, he profited another 6, so now he's up to 12. So, you know, as long as you have a little bit of something to work with, yeah, you're good to go.
There is a little bit of a barrier though at regional trading, where you want $1 billion, $2 billion, probably $3 billion is probably to like play around with, you know, a little bit.
I would highly encourage that before you get into regional trading with a regional trader, that at a minimum you have 5. I would have said 10, but because I saw this guy do it with 2, I'm just gonna say 5, because you need to have enough snowball to push down the hill so it gets bigger as you start making your gains. It's really hard, you know, when you take a million ISK and you make 20% on it, now it's 1.2 million ISK, it takes a while to roll, so you're better off running missions. So
yeah, 1 billion to 1.2 billion, not so bad, and then 5 billion, you're at like a billion ISK.
Now you're going to 6.
Yeah,
right. You need that snowball. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Fern. This has been super awesome, and definitely look forward to using your tool more. It is something that I'm getting more into. I've just been lazy about it, which is using Excel, which is not very lazy actually. It's like very work intensive. So it's like I'm like digging into all this stuff. So it's like, okay, let's look for an easy tool out there for me to kind of use, because I have jumped around to different websites and stuff like that. But I'm definitely going to check this out more. Super cool to have you on here. And CCP Monty, thank you so much for the follow. That's super awesome. And yeah, this is super cool. I look forward to talking to you more for sure, partnering up on some other activities I would love. My biggest thing is I just want to make, there's got to be a low-sec market out there. We just need to make the coolest low-sec market. And I want it to be where I live, because I'm really selfish. So
100%.
Texas speech here, 1,000 points. My real intro to industrial, because for some reason I didn't hear Texas speech very well. Was buying PPOs for things like antimatter and Galente drones and turning them into FDU store and getting the faction variant. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for Young Puke for the follow.
Just make sure you research those BPOs and get them. That's where the real profit is.
Oh yeah,
once you get them researched.
And Fern, thank you so much for the follow.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead here and see what we can find for a little bit of a raid here. But thank you all so much for coming on and watching. Thank you, Fern, for coming on, and I need to definitely check out some more. I've got to get smarter at industry. I'm such a lazy EVE player. I'm like 20 years into the game. I still don't know how to play the game at all. I still click on my right click on my drones and go like attack, because I know that there's a fucking button. I don't fucking care. So awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys.